Hi, Tati, Dan. Thank you so much for coming to BizTalk. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you
for
so much.
coming. Thank you so much for coming. So before start talking, I love this talk because I really come from the movie and theater. So talk about movie. It's always beautiful. And you guys in yes are the best one in this. So before talking about this, would you like to give an introduction to yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Dan Darlak. I have worked on the production staff of a few Amazon shows, Roku, Apple TV. I was on the team with what is now the second biggest studio in New York because Netflix decided to build a bunch of sound stages up in Brooklyn called the American Movie Company. I more so am specialized in the business side of this, as my mentors have all been financial executives at the studios. So I like to recognize the facts. And Max, I know you share the same passion for this industry, for the art form, which I love. But it's the business of entertainment. Business always comes first. So that's sort of my attraction to this very, very intriguing industry.
Thank you, Dan. Tati.
And yeah, I'm Tati, and I'm an independent writer director. My first movie went on Netflix, and it was like an amazing, like not a surprise, but it was an amazing to see something like being distributed and shown on Netflix. And I've worked with an amazing actors like Asher Angel. He right now is in Shazam, and Rosalie Chang. She's nominated for like Oscars this year, so wish her good luck. And yeah.
Thank you so much again. I'm very excited at this talk. So let's give an introduction to what you are doing. We're very involved now.
Right. So our company, we're going under the name Ground Breaking Pictures, kind of an homage to our first project we are working on called Dance Squad, which is going to be our first feature we've worked on together. And Tati, I'll let you talk more in depth about the previous work and what's in our library.
Yeah, so my first movie, Driven to Dance, was premiered on Netflix, and right now is on Amazon Prime. Actually, my friends from Ireland, because I did my second master's in Ireland. They just recently watched it on RTE, which is the second biggest Irish channel. So that's very exciting. My second movie got distributed by Marvist Entertainment globally, which is also very exciting. We're right now waiting when it's going to be released. And we just finished a TV show called Man Imperfect. We did the first season, which I wrote and directed. We have a few offers. So right now we're just finishing post-production, and hopefully it's going to come out at the end of this year.
Thank you. So where are you going next? And what's going to be the plan now? What are you working on?
Yeah. So I can go over our model and the packages we work with. So we work with slates of different genres. We primarily specialize in comedies, thrillers, dramas, and TV shows because comedies, dramas, and thrillers are 3 of the 5 highest grossing genres. How the other 2 are action and adventure. The problem with those 2 are they're a lot more expensive to shoot. So we figure by specializing in these genres, we kind of have a sweet spot for risk reward. So for each slate, for example, our drama slate, there are 3 projects for each of them. They're totaled valued at $1.5 million. So we have one A project that we call for each slate, which is kind of the bigger budget used to maximize reward. And then the other 2 projects we call B movies, as they're commonly referred to, serving as safety nets for the A movie if it needs to make up any ground on the back end. So that is sort of the model that the bigger studios have always kind of used. It's just on a much smaller scale, smaller budgets, and less projects, of course.
And I think creatively it's very interesting because we get a chance to work on 3 different projects. We are kind of connected to each other, but also very different. We can work with different actors, with different like investors, and that's very, very exciting. For example, like Dance Squad is our leading project for our drama slate, and then of course the supporting one is ballet school movie, and then e-girl, like a girl who joins a team even though she used to play solo. It's kind of like they're all connected, but creatively I think it makes a lot of sense.
So to just be a little more specific as to why we are confident with this model. So our financial database that we use is a database that's run by a company called Nash LLC in Beverly Hills. And basically they show comparable titles to what we're working with. And if there's one common denominator we were able to weed out, it's that putting caps on these types of projects tend to significantly increase ROI. So for example, Tati was mentioning Dance Squad. So we looked at a bunch of different comparable titles that are dance movies coming of age. And we found once you reach around 10 million, it's just not financially viable to be shooting a dance movie for that much money, because the target demographic is small but loyal for these types of movies. So you're not going to make up that much ground. But if you're able to shoot on a much smaller scale, you're going to see a return that tends to do a lot better than the actual bigger budgets. So with these projects in general, what we like to do, because they're not so expensive to shoot themselves, a lot of the funds we will allocate to talent, because if there's one sort of common denominator as to what makes a movie successful in the back end, and there's no formula for it, because if there was, everyone would be doing it. But if you had to pinpoint one thing, it is the talent. It is the names. It's the names you see on the posters, the faces you see in the trailer. So that's why talent is so important for us, especially when we're shooting on smaller budgets.
May I ask you, are you working with already well-established people, talent already there, or something that you can even discover?
I will disclose as much as I'm able to with that.
Well, you need to disclose only what you can, of course.
Yeah, exactly. I'll disclose what I can. Yeah, so for the dance movie in particular, our choreographer, he has mentored, taught a lot of the big up-and-coming names in Los Angeles. He was the choreographer on the Step Up series, the High Strung series, a lot of dance movies. So he has worked with most of the names, has a lot of good personal connections there. And so Tati as well, given her work history, she's worked with some pretty good names.
Yes, I was very lucky enough to work with Nirsu. She was in Dance Mom, and she's working in like Bold and Beautiful. And she's done a lot of also movies and TV shows. Usher Angel, as I mentioned, he's a young Shazam, so that was very exciting to work with him. Caitlin Black from CW show, I worked with her on my first movie, and Ricardo Hurtado, he's done a TV show called Malibu Rescue and the movie. So work with a lot of amazing people, and also like building connections with a lot of younger talent, so we can also like work and continue collaborating in the future projects together.
For what it's worth, I really hate speaking very vaguely. I like to give as much information as I can. So, I mean, connection, specific names, contacts and distribution, financial plans, budgets, those can all be made available upon request if we were to have a individual conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Just very in, as we say, helicopter view. When it comes to distribution, which channel are you using? Normal channel or something different? In terms of distribution.
Yeah, when it comes to distribution, so we like to typically go the route of direct-to-video, the traditional licensing deal. We've had some opportunities for buyouts, but we tend to prefer not selling the IP up front, even though it is the quickest return. It's generally not as much of a return if you were to let it come within the years. So That's typically what we work with.
Yeah. And usually we try not to sign the distribution deal out front. For example, my second movie was sold like this. We got distribution deal out front, and then right now it's been a little bit a while when like distributor decides to release it, so we have to wait. Sometimes it's much easier and better just to wait a little bit at the beginning and see how many offers you can get. That's what we're actually doing for like our TV show right now. We have 3 deals right now on the table, and we're picking the best one, and then we can also negotiate what things we want and what things we expect to happen. So it provides different opportunities for negotiations.
You know, everyone wants their passion project to be viewed as it's meant to be viewed on the big silver screen in the theatrical release. But, you know, just being realistic, which is what you have to be, is these particular projects we're working with, they would just be much more fruitful if they go direct to video.
I think that's the best approach. The more you can negotiate, the better. But what is the target audience that is come to watch the movie, video that you release?
Well, so far, the biggest target demographic has been the ages 13 to 17, I'd say, because of the coming of age undertones for the past projects. And it's like I mentioned earlier with the dance community, it's somewhat similar in the sense that it's a small but loyal demographic, which is why for these types of projects, it works.
And also like the idea is that we will grow with our characters, I think, especially for like on the creative side, so we can build our IPs on this, and then working with the same people in the future, but also like in the more adult stories.
And it's very complementary of what I also just alluded to, that these movies are better off being direct to video, because people in that age demographic, they're not going to the movie theaters nearly as often as they are turning on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Apple, whatever you have it.
Yeah, can we talk a bit more? Let's start talking about how return to investors, because what you do is slightly different from what we normally talk about. We talk about startup technology. It's pretty clear how investors invest in startup, how they invest in technology, how they get money back. How does it work in your case? Be very straightforward for even the people that have no idea how it is.
Yeah, so the general structure of the waterfall is there's the total gross revenue of the movie. The distributor will always take a cut of that, generally somewhere around 20%. So then the rest of that, that's what's considered to be attributable to the production company. So there's always the preferred return that's put down. That always comes out before the producers or anyone else on the staff gets a penny. There's always the preferred return, which typically hovers around 10 to 15% in this field. And so that comes out. And then what's left of that is the pool, which 50% is then split between the producers, and the other 50 is given back to the investors.
When you talk about preferred return, is given to who?
That's given back to the investors.
Okay. So the investors are paid before. Now, what about the return? What's the average in your industry? If I'm giving you, I don't know, you ask 5 million, let's say you ask 5 million for shooting a movie. What can be a return, and how long does it take to get this return back?
Yeah. So again, that oftentimes depends on if you're going with a straight buyout. So if you're going with a straight buyout and just selling the IP up front, typically what happens there is whoever's buying it out will offer 30% on top of the budget. So it's money in, money out really quickly. It's just not as much based off I'm speaking purely anecdotally here, based off if you don't do a traditional buyout and you let the money come in again over a course of about 3 years is when you should start really seeing the returns come back in steadily. So if you're going to say, if you invest 5 million, what could you reasonably expect? I would say just based off what we operate on, that would be my mental math isn't great. That would be 5,500,000 as the preferred return. And then the rest of whatever earnings, that's split 50-50 between the producer and investors.
When you talk about buyout, means if you're going to spend 5 million and you're not going to produce, but You are not going to sell to anyone. The one is coming to buy, and they give you 5 million plus 30% of the 5 million. That's your return, 30%, by a very short time. But you don't do any form of distribution. When you distribute, it takes around 2-3 years, if I'm right.
So
yes, if you the traditional licensing agreement, yes.
But also, like when you sign the deal, they do give you minimum guarantee, which you can negotiate. Depends on the distribution company you go with, and yeah, that's the main thing. At the beginning, you will get some money back right away.
Of course, you are a bit biased, but anyway, I need to ask. What about risk? I mean, investing in startup, wherever it comes from, tech, hardware, software, is very, very, very risky. 95%, they will die. There's nothing to do. What about your industry? How easy is to lose the money, and how not easy, but exactly the opposite? How complicated is to get a good return out of it?
I would answer that question with, I think there are a few things that you should, if I was an investor, a few things realistically you should look at, particularly what names are attached, what distribution is potentially attached, and the subject matter, which is really only important, I would say, depending on how much it may isolate or mitigate your potential target demographic. That's why movies at film festivals tend not to do very well financially, because they're very, very, very niche oriented. So looking for that mass audience appeal is very critical, very critical.
And also, so far, all my projects did got distribution and have done like financially successful. They have been financially successful, so we're excited.
I do believe in your case, in your industry, the track record, all the experience you have done makes a lot of difference, because it's a kind of business where if you know the people, you can go well. If you don't know the people, you go right at all. You
also,
go right.
I think also it's a little bit right now the timing too, because we had the pandemic and it was the first time the film industry did shut down. So it was very hard, and there is a lack of content right now. I think it's right now is a really good time to start something. Even like, for example, even if you're starting out in the industry, it's a really good time, because definitely there is a need for content.
So going straight to the point, what are you releasing now? How much are you raising for the new projects?
So, like I mentioned, each slate is valued at $1.5 million total, and that's distributed among 3 projects. The A movies are in the realm of $750,000 to $1 million, and the 2B movies are $250,000 to $500,000 each. And for Dan Squad and for another project called Last Day of Summer, working title, I'll be more than happy to disclose it on a one-on-one conversation, but we have some commitments there, and so it's off to a good start.
Do you have any idea which your investor person? Who is the person you would like to bring? Only money, or you need something else?
Well, I mean, generally the ones we've worked with, what we really love about a lot of them is they share the same passion, and they're interested in making it a long-term relationship. I think just being able to connect and have good chemistry, and being able, to share the just love for the art form is so critical, because if you could build off of that, then you're going to do some good things.
Tati, nothing to add?
Well, I think also definitely having a good time and having a good chemistry is very important, because and that comes definitely from passion. Like with all our previous investors, even with investors, I always have really good relationships, and it's always nice just to spend time together.
Oh, absolutely. As I said to everyone, you must go at least a dinner one, because you need to understand if there is chemistry. If there is no chemistry, it's difficult. It's very difficult to go and start fighting. I would love to close with you with short statement from both of you. Why investing in you because you are everything when it comes to creating your movies and videos. And yeah, why backing you?
Well, I can speak to the financial side of it all day long, but at the end of the day, I think on top of that, it's also important to just have a passion for the vision. We got into storytelling because we want to make positive impacts on people. And I feel like, everyone, no matter how much of a film buff you want to say you are, you have that one movie, you have those maybe handful of movies that just resonate with you, that have stuck with you. And you could even say maybe change something inside of you. So being able to have that kind of positive impact is fantastic. And if you're able to do that in a smart, practical way, then the sky's the limit.
Tati.
Yeah, and I think we should definitely invest in our company because we're here to change the world for better, to make it a better place, and to make sure that we're fiscally responsible.
Guys, thank you so much for coming to BizTalk. It's been a very great pleasure for me, and I really wish you all the best, and I can see your movie coming soon. Thank you so much.
You will. Thanks, Max.